Alrighty, guys. As you can see, we read the NANDs. The NANDs are the same, so we know that they're good. And what we got to do is we're going to set this thing to glitch 2. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create the ECC. We're going to do 512 meg. ECC is created. We're going to write the ECC. And again, it's going to be selected for Jasper 512. Hit OK. Version 10, now it's writing. So what this is going to do is going to write Zell, or the first 50 blocks over the NAND. So that way when we press the eject button, we can get our CPU and DVD key, then input our CPU key, and then that will decrypt the NAND. And then we'll be able to create the XE build image and then write the NAND. So that's what we're doing there. And it's done now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this and we're going to put this right here so you can see what's going on here now. Alright, now hopefully you'll be able to see this. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to prep the chip. This is going to be known as prepping the chip. Now mind you, I already put flux on the pads that we're going to use. Okay, and this is a Cool Runner Revision Level D. Okay, the difference between the D and the C is this little oscillator crystal right here. That allows it to be, and that allows it to run on a Corona, and the other versions is a slim motherboard. So then that way, then you see the Corona doesn't have the clock accessible, so it emulates it. But we don't need it on this because we do have a standby clock on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to fire up the soldering iron, and then we're going to prep this chip. And I hope that you can see this. And while the soldering iron is heating up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect the Cool Runner, the JR programmer, excuse me, because we don't need to have that hooked up, and we don't need to have power going to this motherboard here anymore. You always got to have power going to the motherboard. Just make sure it never turns on. If it turns on, you will blow your JR programmer, and that would lead to a bad day. Okay, so we're going to leave the motherboard right there. I'm going to position this so we're able to see what the heck we're doing here. And then I'm going to take the camera. I'm going to put it so you're able to see this. And I know the focus is not the greatest in the world. And I'm sorry about that, but I'm doing the best that I can with what I've got. Alright, now, like I said, I fluxed all the pads that we're going to need. And we've got the fire iron, we've got the soldering iron heated up. It's just 774 degrees. And I'm cleaning off the tip right now. And what we're going to do is create a little smoke. You don't want to let the smoke out of the chips. You also don't want to overheat these pads, because these pads will lift if you overheat them. You don't want to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to touch the pad, and we're going to apply solder just like that. Touch this one, same thing. We don't need pad A because this is not an RGH1. That's for PLL bypass, which we don't need. I'm going to do B, C, D, E, and F. Now, now that's all done. What we're going to do is, you see, in order for us not to use the crystal, there is a little tiny little resistor right here, and we're going to heat this up. And what we're going to do is, once it's heated up, take that right off the board because we don't use it. And of course it wants to be difficult. There we go. Tiny little thing, ain't it? Now that's gone. Now what we're going to do, there was a trick with these, okay? In order to be able to set this, see, normally at fat, you'd set it on fat, okay? Well, there is a trick that you can do. So you can take advantage of other timing files too, for the timing to glitch the board, and you'd be able to set it to slim and use those settings too. What we're going to do is we remove the C8 cap, which is right here. This is our C8 cap right here. Now that right there, when you remove that, that allows you to use Trinity, the Trinity setting also, the slim setting. So what we're going to do is just apply a little flux just to float it. And then we're going to heat the flux up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to heat both sides like so. And there we go. And we got to get it off the board here. Get this. Here we go, and it's gone. Okay. And that's about it for that. Then we're going to take our wires. And as you can see, we got our fat and we got our slim cable. I'm going to cut these open. Here's our fat cable. Now I will always use the fat stuff first before I start messing around with CPU lengths and everything, because some of these, they just start right up, some of them don't. It all depends. And then what we're going to do is stretch these wires out. There's our CPU reset cable right here. And it's our blue wire. And then we have our yellow post out, which goes to C. And we have our orange wire for our standby clock. That goes to pad B. Then we have our power wire, which goes 3.3. And then we have our ground. Now, they don't have the brown and the green, the correct size for these things. So what I do is I take the green wire right here, and I will give myself enough, and I will cut it like so, and I'll strip it then. Well, it's got a nice little end on it. You don't want to make the ends too long. If you make the ends too long, it really is a pain. You just want to have enough. And here's one end right here, as you can see, you know. And we're take this end right here, and we're going to make it the same length. Clip that. That's going to be for our E and our F pads. That's stripped and cut. Most of the time what I'll do is I'll flux them and I'll pre-tin the wires, so that way it's easy. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to attach our power wires and all the appropriate wires to the appropriate spots. So let's see here now. Go. That's one. And we got our ground wire. That's two. That ain't going anywhere. And then we have our standby clock wire. That's going to pad B. Right there. Then we have our yellow post out wire, which actually tells the chip when to pulse the CPU. And this one's going to go right to C. Just like that. And then D is going to be our CPU pulse cable. Make sure your connections are good. Then we have our green wire here for E. That's E. And then we have F. It's a very little heat. You don't use a lot of heat. Alright, because like I said, you'll take the pads right off the PCB board and then you just might as well throw it away because you just ballsed it. Plain and simple. I'm going to pull this out. Our connections are tight, nothing's bridged. And basically what she looks like. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to program this chip. Okay? So we're going to take our JR programmer, and then what we're going to do is we're going to plug this in. And you see, got a green light on it. Okay? And there's a cable that comes with this kit. And this is it right here. This gets plugged in here. Like so, smooth side up, and then this end right here gets plugged into our J runner, in order cool runner, J runner, cool runner, whatever the hell you want to call it. Okay, now she's all ready to boogie. Now on the JR programmer, there's a switch right here up on the top. We'll press that, and now we've got a red light on the cool runner, as you can see. Okay, now that means that she's getting ready to program. She's got power. You want to set this switch that's on the cool runner from normal to program. Make sure you do that. Then what we're going to do is we go into, I'll show you now. Now we go into program Cool Runner. Okay, we go hit program Cool Runner. All right, and that brings up these files right here under RGH2. And what you want to do is you want to, well, I usually start off with B. B is usually pretty decent, and then I'll play with it and time it and everything until I get proper boots. And what I mean by that is between 1 to 5 cycles with a Jasper. Okay, but most of the time I try to get 3. I'm a little tedious when it comes to that. So we're going to click B. All right, and then what I'm going to do here, as you can see, here is the Cool Runner, and then we're going to click Program CR. Watch what happens. Okay, see the green light? She's programming, and she's getting programmed right now with the B timing file, the XSVF or whatever the heck it is. And she's done success. Okay, now turn that switch back to normal. Turn the switch off on the J runner back, so that way then you don't have any power. Pull the clip. And pretty much we're done with the software side of it. For now. Alright. Now in our next segment, I'm going to show you how to install the Cool Runner onto the motherboard and solder it in correctly. So stay tuned.